Man Randy Savage story that was talked about by MSN.com, all the major radio programs and television news programs, that the Macho Man wasn't in that great of shape, but he was still hanging in there, and it's very unfortunate what had happened. I heard about the story a couple of days ago, and I was overwhelmed. My reaction to this is very hard to put into words. The one thing that I said about it was I couldn't understand why the Macho Man Randy Savage had to be taken away from us at an age of 58 years of age, 1952 to 2011. That's his lifespan, 1952 to 2011. And my response to it all was I never thought I'd live to see the day where the Macho Man Randy Savage would be added to an extensive list of wrestlers who have died in the last decade. I never thought I'd live to see the day. I'll be getting into all of that. A very shocking story, one of the biggest stories to come of 2011. The second biggest story, I guess, would be Edge's retirement. And before the Macho Man's death, Edge retiring from professional wrestling had to be the number one news story that was talked about and that had came in. But I think the Macho Man Randy Savage death story that was talked about by MSN.com and a number of different media outlets has definitely taken over the number one spot right now as definitely one of the top 10 news stories of 2011 and definitely one of the most shocking. Definitely. A couple of days after his death on Monday Night Raw, WWE puts together a little video package talking about his match with Ricky Steamboat at WrestleMania 3, the Macho Man Miss Elizabeth wedding from SummerSlam 1991, his WWF Championship victory, his run with the Mega Powers. Incorporated into this video package, of course, a number of different Macho Man promos and interviews, and they talked a little bit about his flamboyantness and his colorful personality and his ability to cut promos. They also threw in a video clip from his Slim Jim promo from back in the 90s, a very entertaining promo. The Macho Man, one thing you could get from the Macho Man's promos were that he loved what he did, and he was one guy that really got into his character and made his character work. Just the way that he used to do that, oh yeah, his famous quote, is a perfect example of how the Macho Man Randy Savage would turn it on, and turn it on to a point where you would actually believe what the Macho Man Randy Savage was doing. You almost went away from his matches and his promos saying to yourself, this guy is real, and what he represents is real. And what he presented to you was a character that you will never ever forget, and I know that I'll never forget the Macho Man Randy Savage for his contributions, his famous matches with Ricky Steamboat, his programs with Hulk Hogan of the WWF Championship, his run as part of the Mega Powers, the 1991 SummerSlam wedding between himself and Miss Elizabeth, the programs with Crush, the programs with Kevin Nash, everything that the Macho Man Randy Savage did for WCW and TNA, I'll never forget. But his colorful personality, I think, is what separated him from everybody else. You have your John Cena's, your Randy Orton's, your Edges, but I think the Macho Man Randy Savage definitely had a gift that separated him and made him different from everybody else. There was only one Macho Man. He was often imitated. If that phrase can be associated with any professional wrestler, often imitated but never duplicated, that phrase definitely fits the Macho Man. How many Macho Man Randy Savage impressions have you heard done by professional wrestlers and professional wrestling fans? I have heard thousands, and if I had $1 for every time I heard a Macho Man Randy Savage promo or an imitation, I would be a rich man and would be able to retire from covering the sport of professional wrestling. He was the one guy that was always imitated. Wacko Bob from the Dark Match / the Wacko Weekly over at blogtalkradio.com / the Wacko Weekly loved to imitate the Macho Man Randy Savage, and that's one attribute of Wacko Bob I'll always give him credit for, his ability to entertain by, cutting a Macho Man promo or imitating the Macho Man. He wasn't the only one who was able to do that. I remember a professional wrestler saying, everybody imitates the Macho Man. I forget who it was, but it happened on WWE.com that was said, and that is very true. I think everybody found a point in time in their life where they found themselves imitating the Macho Man. Wacko Bob of the Dark Match, that's one attribute I'll never forget from working with him, his ability to cut a Macho Man promo and imitate a Macho Man Randy Savage impression to the point where you actually believed what Bob was saying. Randy Savage's death was profiled by Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Great video package. WWE seems to not make a big deal out of deaths like they did 5 or 6 years ago. They just put together a little tribute video package, and then they dedicate the show in memory of them. We had the Macho Man Randy Savage graphic open up that edition of Raw. I found that very fitting, a video package. I like how WWE doesn't make such a tremendous deal out of deaths like they did 5 or 6 years ago. Back 5 or 6 years ago, examples of that: Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Owen Hart. Big tribute shows put together where the wrestlers kind of did a memorial service for him. I think that that's going a bit too far with it. They're very deserving of it, but it kind of creates a depressing feel for a few weeks after, and everybody talks about it. I think that it's nice to know that these people contributed a lot to the business, but I think that toning it down a little bit over the last 5 years and just having a video package and dedicating the show in their memory is the right way about going about doing things. And I think that it's very, very fitting that they're only doing these tribute video packages now. And we saw one for the Macho Man. It was very aptly put together, and it was great. 58 years of age is a very young age to be taken away from what you love doing. I think that if the Macho Man Randy Savage would have had it his way, he would have remained on the independents, and he would have remained doing different projects for professional wrestling. We probably would have even seen another Slim Jim promo done by him. People like Edge have gone on to cut Slim Jim promos, but they're not as effective as the Macho Man Randy Savage. I think the dollar value for the Slim Jim product significantly increased when the Macho Man did that promo. But 58 years of age is a very young age to be taken away from what you love doing, and without question, the Macho Man Randy Savage loved what he did. I mean, you had Eddie Guerrero die at a very young age too, and Owen Hart died at a very young age. These wrestlers are dying too young. I think something needs to be done about it. Something is obviously wrong with the Athletic Commission or the WWE or TNA and how they're booking their talent. Deaths will occur more often in WWE because they're overworked. But in this case, it was just something that happened in the Macho Man's life that he had no control over. But 58 years of age is a very young age to be taken away from what you love doing, and I think the Macho Man Randy Savage, if he would have had it his way, he would have continued doing what he did and would have continued doing it to the best of his ability. He'll be missed, but his age, kind of stands out to me. 58 years of age is a very young age to be taken away from what you love doing. And it's terrible. He now will join Miss Elizabeth, who will hopefully greet him when he reaches the pearly gates in heaven, if he hasn't already done so. Miss Elizabeth's death, courtesy of Lex Luger, who is a piece of shit in the minds of a lot of people for being the one reason why Miss Elizabeth is no longer here. If Lex Luger, it's believed, would have conducted himself more professionally, Miss Elizabeth probably would have still been here. She was the first lady of professional wrestling. It's kind of comforting to know that both Liz and Savage are together now in heaven after all they did in WWE, from their manager wrestler type look to working with the Mega Powers to the 1991 SummerSlam wedding. Everything they did was just unbelievable. The program the two of them were involved with Hulk Hogan, and how Liz was in the middle of it in kind of a love type triangle was great. No love triangle has ever been able to surpass the Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Miss Elizabeth angle that was done for WrestleMania 5, which culminated with Hulk Hogan retaining the WWF Championship against Macho Man Randy Savage in a phenomenal WrestleMania 5 main event. I believe that took place in Trump Plaza, and I think it's unbelievable, how Liz and Savage had such great chemistry, and it's overwhelming to me to know that the two of them have tragically gone on to the wrestling ring in the sky, but I think they are an even more attractive and appealing and eye-catching duo in heaven. It's kind of comforting to know that they're both together now in heaven, and hopefully Liz has greeted him upon his arrival at the pearly gates. But they now are on the list of wrestlers who have died, a very huge list. And if I were to run down all the names that we've lost in the last decade, we'd be here 2 or 3 hours, definitely. His run as the Macho King was very short-lived, but I think it was something that everybody remembered him for doing. That was when the Macho Man was in his best heel years. He was able to cut promos to the ability where you would absolutely hate his guts. And no matter who he worked with as the Macho King, it was absolutely phenomenal. That was right around the time when him and Liz weren't getting along. He was involved with Sensational Sherry, who was also dead. A trio of deaths there. But he was involved with her, and then it led to Liz, building up frustration, taking out Sherry, and then the Macho Man losing his career to the Ultimate Warrior in the career-ending match at a WrestleMania. And then basically he declares his love for Miss Elizabeth, and of course that leads to the 1991 SummerSlam wedding, where the Macho Man returns to the ring for the first time ever after his injury. And I think that, when he was the Macho King, that was really all a build for the 91 SummerSlam wedding. But you couldn't stand the Macho Man when he was the Macho King, and I think that, that really, really made the Macho Man who he is today, and it catapulted the Macho Man into being a future WWF champion, working for WCW, TNA, wherever he went. His colorful personality is what I think separated him from everybody else, from the Bret Harts of the world, the Honky Tonk Mans of the world, the Ultimate Warriors of the world, who he had a tremendous program with over his career at WrestleMania, which really set the stage for the 91 wedding at the SummerSlam extravaganza, which also saw the Macho Man return to the ring after suffering a severe injury. His programs with, the Mega Powers definitely, set the stage for that WrestleMania 5 match between himself and Hulk Hogan. That was the Andre the Giant Hulk Hogan sequel, in my opinion. That was the second biggest match in WWF history in the 90s. Who would have ever thought we would have seen Randy Savage versus Hulk Hogan in, such a huge match for the WWF title. No love triangle angle done in WWE history has ever surpassed that angle we saw between Liz, Savage, and Hogan. Of course, all is a build to the Mega Powers clash at Trump Plaza at WrestleMania 5. WrestleManias 4 and 5